The first vintage car I owned was this Mini here. Right, I purchased this car roughly about 4 years ago. Um, it wasn't looking like this. It was like the original Mini. Right. I saw the Minis and I fell in love with it. But I always wanted to do something looking like what we used to call the scale electric cars. One of those bubble out. So what I did after I purchased the car, I actually took it to a straightener. And I had him do all these modification on it to bring it to the stage it's at today. The van, right? It's a Volkswagen 1972. The bus is roughly about 40 years old. I really wanted to get a bus for my business. I wanted to get a van for the business. And then when I saw a Volkswagen bus, no, a Volkswagen bus is not an easy bus to get, and especially in mint condition. That bus, you know what I mean, it's kind of twin carburetors. It is a powerful engine, you know what I mean. It's a beautiful bus, and it was well taken care of. So I was glad to acquire that, because the Volkswagen buses, a lot of people didn't know, a lot of them were, well, usually Red Cross had them here as ambulance, and in the States they use them as what they call campers. So that bus has bed, everything in it. You know, it's the kind of bus you could pull up Miaro and overnight. The last vehicle I bought here is the car. It was manufactured in 1971 and brought here by the German embassy in 1972. Officially, that car only has, I'm the fourth owner, and each person has taken mint care of that car. It's one of the best Volkswagen on the island right now, if not the best one. The beauty with these cars is to see how these cars light up people's face. I would be driving this car, any one of these cars, and someone like, let's say the Mini, or let's say the Bug, and whether it's a child or an adult, it put a smile on their face. And that's what, you know, it's about, you know what I mean. I like my car for me, but even more, it takes people back. And for me, it takes them back to a more innocent time. And that's why I like my vintage cars. You know, it takes you back to a more innocent time. I can afford a new car, I have a new car, but I like driving this. And each one of these cars is stick. And they say not a driver until they drive in stick. Yes, automatic cars, the cars drive you. Manual cars, you drive the car. There's only the Mini that carries a new engine. All the rest of them carry the original engine. So therefore, your biggest challenge is really finding the right technicians, right mechanics that knows how to work on a vintage car. In terms of parts, the world has become smaller. English cars like the Mini, you get out of England. The Bug and so forth, you could get out of Miami. Many parts now you get out of Miami. So it has become a little easier. But in recent times, some of the challenges we've had is in terms of sometimes insurance and so forth. But the beauty in it is the fact that I had one with the insurance company already. It made it easier for the others. So a lot of those little details, you know, I would really like to see more opportunities in I would like to bring a car myself, a vintage car, to Trinidad without all the hassles that way, you know what I mean, that we face probably, you know, the license problems in terms of, because there's a difference between an old car and a vintage car. This car carries my business name, Total Local Promotions, right? It was a business investment, right? Not just a hobby, but a business investment. This car, you know what I mean, I have had a lot of business opportunities come because of the marketing that this car does. You know, we've been invited to a lot of shows where we could promote the Total Local brand. We could actually explain to people who Total Local is, what Total Local is, you know, so we could let them know that we are the leading producers of Trinidad and Tobago t-shirts in the world. So when people hear that, they're like, because they didn't know. You get into places that you've never been, and it's a moving billboard. You know what I mean? It's all over, you know, we go all over the country. And a lot of people who may not have noticed the Total Local before, this kind of hard to miss. I learned something along the way, and this thing called life. This car, when I bought this car, I got this car, the last owner of this car was an engineer. And when he died, the car was sold. And he didn't only have this car, he had two other antique cars. And it was sold. And the person who bought the car got the car at a really great deal. The price he got all three cars for is what I paid for this one car. It taught me something, and I've learned it as I go along in life. This is my dream. This is my joy. It's not, as much as I'd like it to be a legacy, it's my joy. I've learned that along the way. I plan to make more memories, more joy with it, in terms of having more fun with it. But in terms of saying that I'm going to leave it for someone, I'll leave it in one piece. But I really can't say what's going to happen with it after. Because that is, I recognize that is on the unfortunate part when it comes to, this is my dream. I've come to that realization that everybody has their own dream. And you can't really force what you like on others. And this particular vehicle here cost me $30,000, and the modification, engine, everything, time the car was finished, cost well over $100,000. On numerous occasions, people offer to buy the car. I've called only one price, 1.5. In other words, the car is not for sale. It's priceless. Right? Same thing with the Volkswagen in the back there. Right? That bug is not for sale. The prices on the car, the cars, you know what I mean, they could range from 100,000, like this bug in the back here is $120,000, right? It's cost. But what price am I going to sell it for? Right? 1.5. In other words, do come. Right? You know, the bus, $100,000 bus. You know. So the thing about it is we have some vehicles that, you know what I mean, it's all according to how much it's worth, not only in terms of the market, but how much it's worth to the individual. Like the two Vols, they are actually in its original state. These are original Volkswagen. Everything there is stock. So when you look at those cars, it's like it takes you straight back 43, 45 years. So when you see one of my cars, you're going back 45 years. You know, I tell people, be careful. You might go back in your car, you don't want to come back. You know? So it's a beautiful feeling, you know what I mean? Everything in the car, the bus, old school. You know? So I say it takes you back to a more innocent time. And that's the beauty of the cars. Well, my name is Derek Valley. I'm the owner of these three cars. The Austin Mini, 1978. We have the Volkswagen out of 1971, right? The Volkswagen sedan, and then we also have the Volkswagen bus. All right? They're beautiful vintage cars, and it's here for you all to enjoy.